News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Brought to you by Stonehenge Pizza. To be perfectly honest, our pizza is not very good, but at least our restaurant has a cool name. At Stonehenge Pizza, truth in advertising is our main ingredient, and we trust it will help us earn your business. Stonehenge Pizza. We also failed our health inspection.
Yeah, I mean, you got to admire the honesty, Allan. Those things make good Captain America shields for your kids' Halloween costume, I will tell you that.
Goodness.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
And I'm Allan Gilbreth with GeekySideTV.com.
And that, of course, was our pal Kelly Cruz, who has never failed us yet. Kelly, way to go. She's out there pounding the pavement every week, finding us the sponsors we need for this show.
Bad things, I think I had one of those last week.
You can call or text us on the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989, or go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and interact with us there. Hey, speaking of Big M Roofing and Remodeling, Allan, the man himself, Jay Hill's coming in. You know, he's been pretty busy lately. He's behind schedule. He's supposed to have been here a few weeks ago, and, you know, work intervenes, unfortunately.
Every time I hear thunder, roll across the land, it's kind of like, and Jay's going to be busy for 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, I've got questions for him, because ever since I got my new roof on, I've noticed some improvements in the home, and I feel like there's a connection, too. So, Allan, I can't promise this is going to trickle over into maybe 2 segments. You, in our exhaustive show prep last night, you basically teased this as Awakening the Dinosaur Shrimp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, whatever that is. And that's been going on in Arizona.
A cautionary tale of water.
I mean, this sounds like a Jurassic Park. There's several monster movies that came to mind
easily,
for that.
Easily.
I have, Allan, forget this next $1 million idea or $1 billion idea. I have the next $1 trillion idea.
Ooh.
And this isn't, I'm not kidding around. We're going to bring that up, and that may carry over to a couple of segments. We've got our must-have item of the week. If we have time, Allan, you've got an intriguing story about Roman concrete. I'm assuming it's ancient Rome. So,
yes.
There's several other things I'm not going to tease because I feel like the conversation is going to be pretty rich today. So it's all coming at you today on Tool Talk Radio. But before we get to any of that...
And now, Tool Talk Radio's Weekly Salute.
There are some jobs that require a certain level of finesse. For a championship golfer, it takes finesse to sink a 30-foot putt. During the finale of the Battle of Hogwarts, it took finesse for Mrs. Weasley to sneak the Avada Kedavra curse past the guard of Bellatrix Lestrange, utterly defeating the evil yet highly skilled witch. I guess I gave spoilers for Book 7. Sorry about that.
I think you got
Kids
that
forget
fight
that
covered.
Forget that I said anything. And, of course, for weekend adventurer Allan Gilbreth, it took finesse to escape from the rampaging herd of Yorkshire pigs, pursuing him across the snake-infested forest as he made off with their newly discovered batch of Paragold truffles, the key ingredient to Allan's signature breakfast dish, poached lizard eggs over truffles. I've heard you got to suffer for your art, Allan, but I mean...
Truffles are worth it.
Okay. In the realms of woodwork and metalwork, sometimes finesse is also called for. There are those occasions where you have to strike the metal or the wood, but not so hard as to damage the material. For several millennia, craftspeople relied on stone, metal, wood, or leather hammers for these tasks. But in the year 1929, a new tool was invented that would give craftspeople the ability to strike the material they were working on without causing undue harm. My friends, we give you the rubber mallet.
Oh, yeah.
You know what's great about this, Allan? Not a whole lot of explanation is needed. If you've watched the Three Stooges, movie, you probably know what a rubber mallet is. Although, I know they were supposed to be real, but let's...
let's face it. I'm having a flashback to an incident 25 years ago where we were putting together a lot of decorative picture frames.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a little rubber mallet. And I was sitting there going through, and you're trying to put the little brads in the corner just perfect without marring the acrylic cover. So, you know, lightly tapping, the whole thing. And we're going along fine until somebody else in the office decided to try to help.
Okay, here we go. Yeah.
And
famous last words,
and
right?
and this young man got hold of this thing, and the word finesse had not entered the vocabulary yet. And he went Thor on this thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. What else would you do if you're that age? So, yeah.
It was like, all I got to say is thank goodness it was a rubber mallet, because it just went badly.
Well, I mean, let's give credit where credit's due, too. Joseph Weidman of Los Angeles is the one that invented the rubber mallet, 1929 or 1931. I guess it's debated. And let's be honest, it's not totally revolutionary because people, like we said, were using leather. But the rubber was a good... It's perfect for, like, I'm thinking of if you have a dent in the door of your car or something like that, and you just got to tap it out.
We need soft mass.
Yeah,
is the idea.
Yeah, and I will say something in defense of that young assistant that you had, Allan. When I was younger, I did discover that those things will bounce.
Oh yes,
you can't just whack
they will come
an
right
anvil
back.
and it missed my face by an inch or so. But yeah, those things.
He did not dodge.
Yeah, but they're great, and everybody should have one. And let's face it, it's not a bad thing to keep around the house for your kids, just because they may want to beat something up too. And we're all about getting young people involved with tools and stuff. And it's not the worst thing if you drop it on your foot. It's not quite as bad as the.
Bad.
So hats off to the rubber mallet. Well, Allan, I'm rubbing my hands together. I'm trying to decide if we should do this first hour. I'm gonna call an audible. We're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna talk about Roman concrete.
All right.
You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Now, this is the forklift. You need a license to operate this machine. That means the upstairs office workers can't drive it. Quiz, Mike, should you drive the forklift?
I can and I have.
No.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, or you can go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, give us a like, follow us there. You know where else they can follow us, Allan? I'm going to let you announce this. This is big news. We have a new platform.
We do. You can now follow us on Spotify.
Yeah. I like that platform, Allan. You took care of that.
Oh, I am so excited about that.
Easy to use.
Oh yeah. Just it was a simple experience to get it set up, and for the devoted listener and the Spotify user, it's simple and easy.
Simple and easy,
right there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we like, and it's a nice platform. I use it all the time. So if you miss any of Tool Talk Radio, just go to Spotify. It's Tool Talk Radio, right?
Tool Talk Radio on Spotify.
Awesome. You know who else is easy to work with, Allan? The good people at Brown Refrigeration.
Oh yes.
If you have, let's face it. You may have an unexpected heating HVAC situation. That's never fun.
You know my week, huh?
Yeah. Sometimes, the best thing is to stay on top of it. Have a yearly maintenance done. You need a tune-up anyway. It's like tuning up your car. It's a piece of machinery. You need to stay on top of it. Sometimes, though, it just dies. You may have an old. Well, it's nice to have the peace of mind that you can call people like Larry Brown. They'll come out. They'll take care of it. They have great financing, which is important because you may not be ready for that. So the financing is actually, we don't sell that enough, but that's a big deal. We're talking years with no interest payments.
Well, what it does is it solves your problem now.
Right, exactly. So, and of course, they're great about keeping the air clean, and I'm really noticing that today, Allan. The pollen is thick, and they have these great Remy Halo systems. They clean the air, and especially in this time, cleaning those cleaning particulates, the microscopic particulates that land on all surfaces and clean away, and of course their smart home system. So they really do it all at Brown Refrigeration, and they have a nice, easy to remember website, brownref.com, and you can give them a call at 901-362-1881. And Larry, when are you going to bring your wife in? She's fun. Allan, we met her about a year ago at the home show of the Mid-South, but we've yet to get her on the air. She's very elusive, or else she just, likes to sleep in.
I think she just likes to sleep in and make Larry go.
Or she has good sense and stays as far away from this as she can. But anyway, hey, Allan, we've got some really juicy stories coming up. And, of course, we got our pal Jay Hill, who will be joining us shortly. But so we're gonna sit on those for the second hour. However, you did have an intriguing story that we were talking about last night about Roman concrete. You made a good point. It's still around. Well, why is it around 2,000 years later?
Well, that's exactly it. I was working on a couple of jobs this week in which there was a lot of cracked, flaking concrete.
Sure.
And it had all been laid about 50 years ago. And when we start talking about the infrastructure of the U.S., the golden age of infrastructure in the U.S. was right after the Great Depression.
Oh, because they had to, well, for one thing, they had to get everybody working. That's when we had the Hoover Dam. That's
a lot of the big, giant public works.
Right.
And basically, the 30s and 40s were brought to us by concrete.
Good point. I mean, look at how much concrete went into the building of New York and the big cities, everything.
You start talking metric tons every single day.
And, of course, our good buddy, the architectural style of brutalism.
Oh, my gosh.
Right in that era.
Well, exactly. We're tying it all in here. Yeah. And basically, concrete and cement wind up basically as a simple recipe. It is baked, crushed limestone, and a substrate.
Time out, Allan. No, the pyramids aren't made of concrete.
No,
those are carved stone.
Those are big, giant chunks of carved stone.
Say, that would be an accomplishment.
Well, okay. but they did have a coating on them, and in many cases, when we also start talking about the Roman era, there were a lot of things that were mortared together that are still mortared together.
Yeah,
there's a lot of arches and things like that are still with us, and it kind of struck me. As I'm sitting here sweeping up all this loose gravel and little flaking pieces of concrete, that all over Europe, I got friends that live off of Roman roads.
Yeah, good point. I mean, when you go to, because I've been to Italy, full disclosure, people, and it is the most interesting thing, Allan. You'll go into a restaurant that was built in the 1970s, and it's literally right next door to a place that could have been there for 1,500 years.
Exactly.
It's really an interesting dynamic.
So, the big thing is there was a Roman engineer named Marcus Vitruvius.
Now, there's a name.
Yep, there you go, Vitruvius. And he was around in about 30 BCE. So we're going back a little bit.
Right.
And he basically was the guy that kind of wrote down the recipe.
Oh, he developed the
he's who we're going to put it on because he's the one that wrote it down.
Yeah.
Or at least made it available to go out across the empire.
I gotcha.
Now, is Vitruvius, is he the one that they based Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man on?
I've heard that rumor. Not sure, but this, like I said, this was the engineer in the middle of the empire that was sending out the instructions. So it's very possible.
It would make sense.
That's how this is the guy that got immortalized.
That would be a classic character. It makes sense.
So here he is, and he was putting together a concoction of a certain kind of volcanic ash, of course, lime. And his big thing is he was mixing this all together in seawater.
Okay.
Now,
I've heard that. Go ahead.
This kind of goes a little weird,
Allan.
right? This goes a little weird because you don't really use seawater to make stuff.
We don't, but
we don't.
If you live on the Mediterranean, there
exactly. And also, we're not blessed with a lot of just volcanic ash lying around. Now, all over Italy and all over the Mediterranean,
in Allan's backyard, you might be, but.
Well, the volcano's been kind of quiet, Joe.
Yeah.
So here we go. And the other thing is he's kind of the guy that more or less he's getting credit for reinventing pre-stressed concrete.
Right.
AKA they would make slabs of this stuff, mix it up, and then submerge it in seawater for it to harden.
Okay. Can I weigh in, Allan?
Yeah, I'm ready for you.
You triggered me. And, full disclosure. Well, now I don't want to get into the long backstory, but I have heard this thing of salt water being the key ingredient. And when you think about it, because I can remember going to the beach and you see these, like, you might see some residue, and it like I remember on the piers, Alan, there were high points on the piers because I would jog underneath those, and there were it was like a crustacean that formed from the salt water. And I'm thinking that's another hardening kind of element maybe that plays into this, and maybe the salt water is one of the key things here.
Well, exactly correct. Because now here's the big thing. You brought up the Hoover Dam.
Like an epoxy or something.
Well, exactly. You brought up the Hoover Dam.
Right.
And the Hoover Dam is an amazing piece of construction because of the amount of concrete they used, that it would have taken a couple of 100 years for the Hoover Dam to have actually cured and cooled off.
Oh, because it was hundreds and thousands of tons of
metric tons upon metric tons of this. So the engineers at the Hoover Dam invented a water cooling system to solidify the dam in time to make it usable.
One thing, folks, if you want to see something interesting, just jump on YouTube, go down the rabbit hole on documentaries about the Hoover Dam.
Oh my gosh.
Very interesting.
Yeah, you'll give up sleep for about 3 days.
Yeah.
But because of the way the volcanic ash and the unique properties of it, and of course the unique properties of the seawater, is that this particular type of concrete, even if it's exposed to seawater, it's like, you built the docks. All right, they built these docks. Well, the chemical reaction, the salt water begins eating away at it, just like it does our concrete. However, because it was originally designed with seawater, it begins to make a very rare hydrothermal mineral called aluminum tolumerite. And what it does is it constantly rehardens the concrete.
Man, this is cool. This is going to have to, we're going to have to extend this too, Alan, because boy, are you making me think. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, if you're getting pounded with salt water, you're actually almost recoating the thing. I'm thinking of like when people put like linseed oil on a piece of wood or something, and they're on their outdoor furniture.
Yes.
You're basically letting nature strengthen this thing as it goes.
And so 2,000 years later,
smart.
We still have Roman concrete.
Yeah.
So because we're kind of cracking the code on this now, and we have already talked about self-healing concrete.
Oh,
we did that a couple of years ago. We're going to
have to bring that back in.
We're going to have to bring
Alan.
that back in because now suddenly with the right tinkering, we could go back to having concrete that would last quite a bit longer than what it does now.
And I mean, we've got other options that I don't know that it did very much, especially probably back then with tinted and colorized concrete.
Oh, yeah.
I think brutalism could make a return in a more stylistic fashion. So
it could indeed.
That's very interesting. And I'm just wondering how many other formulas or how many other things that we do for our house I'm thinking of latex paint. It's a water-based paint. That's boy, you've really triggered some thought, Alan. And we're going to need it for our next hour.
Oh, yes.
We've got some science. We've got some other stuff. But before we get to that, we got our buddy Jay Hill. He's coming in. Coming in next. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to visit with our good buddy Jay Hill from Big M Roofing and Remodeling.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
The baler can flatten a car engine. It can cut off your arm and crush your entire body without skipping a beat. How many people a year do you think get their arms cut off in a baler?
Baler? I hardly know her.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV, and our pal Max behind the glass. Max, the producer, outdoing himself with these office references and, keeping us on our guard. You don't know what you're going to come back.
The smirk on his face is priceless.
Hey, Allan, we got our special guest coming in. We're going to introduce him in just a minute. But before we do that, I want to remind people, if you need to buy or sell your home, wouldn't you enjoy an experience that is quick, easy, and fun? I mean,
today, yes.
Who makes that claim? Well, I'll tell you who does. Weichert Realtors Benchmark, and we can attest to this. They're my realtor. Mm-hmm. I've bought a couple of homes from them, and in fact, we're in the middle of another real estate transaction that's going to be real interesting that I'll be sharing in the weeks ahead. But they can get you. What I like about them is they can get you qualified, financed, and underwritten all under the same roof. So you don't have to hunt. You don't have to go from place to place. You're not making 50 phone calls trying to coordinate things. They take care of it all. They've seen it all. They've been through every kind of market. And as you say, Allan, they help you win the home.
They do. These days, it's not a matter of just sticking a sign in the front yard and, hoping somebody drives by and sees it. It is competitive.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of different forces in the marketplace. As a matter of fact, I got a letter this week with an offer for my house.
Oh, really?
In the mail.
Huh.
Just
I get those phone calls every day.
There's a letter that says, hey, if you like this number, call us.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. I'm not sure I want to call somebody in Littleton, Colorado that's never seen my house.
No.
I want a realtor.
Selling your house is easy. It's the buying that's the competitive thing too. So you need to win a house. They've got all sorts of strategies to put you ahead of like 90% of the competition.
Yes.
So that's the way to go. And like I said, since it's all under one roof, it streamlines the process. It's not like if they got to talk to the underwriter, they walk across the hall and talk to them.
Yes.
It makes a big difference. And, of course, they're a riot. We got Kelly Cruz over there. She's part of our entourage. We got Rick and Susie Bowman who own it. They've got some great realtors, Brandy Merrick. They've got a great staff. They got a great culture over there, and they're just honest and great people. So give them a call at their easy-to-remember number, 901-202-2000. I bet you even if you're driving around right now, you can remember that number. 901-202-2000, Whitekert Realtors Benchmark. All right, Allan, we got our buddy Jay Hill here.
We do.
Big M Roofing. Jay, I just saw you yesterday.
I know it. I was hoping that was over with for a while.
Full disclosure, Jay is my roofer. Jay, we work on a lot of projects together. We were doing we were working on a patio cover that I was building in Harbor Town, and you guys got there, knocked it out. I'll just tell you, the homeowners that I'm working for were just going on and on about how great you guys are.
That's certainly what we want. I appreciate the opportunities that you give us, Joe. You do incredible work as well. So thank you for the opportunities, and I'm glad everybody's happy. That's the goal.
Yep. Well, hey, Allan, you and Jay, it's kind of all in the family, right? You and Jay and a friend of yours. This was sort of interesting. You were talking about this off air, but there's some. Tell us what's going on with this.
Well, this is one of these. Again, you have to look at the age of infrastructure.
Okay.
Memphis is a turn of the century city. And a lot of our growth really came in World War II and then came in again in the 70s. So we've got a lot of properties out there in this kind of magical, about 40-year-old zone. And pretty much whatever your roofing system was, it's pretty much up by now.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going to look at Jay and go, okay, so you get the phone call, you go out, you look at the age of the property, you look at the condition of the roof, and then Jay takes over with his expertise and says, okay, let's look at it.
Well,
and the process begins because I've seen Jay up and down. I've seen Jay up and down a ladder plenty of times.
Well, you got a friend that you.
Yes, as a matter of fact, at a friend's house not too long ago, I show up and there are the trucks and there are the ladders and people are running up and down looking at the roof. So
and that's what we want to talk about this morning. Guys,
yeah,
because at the end of the day, what we've been talking about over the last couple of months is what we specifically do and what we're really, really good at, among other things, is navigating the insurance deal, if you will, in terms of replacing a roof.
And the show's got a mutual a friend, a good friend of Allan's, and I actually met her at the home show a few years ago, and she kind of kept my name and number, wasn't ready then, and then magically we find out when she calls me again that she's a friend of Allan's in the shows, and says, "Listen, I'm ready. Water's starting to come in my house." We go out there. Do that thorough inspection, and what we find is that we believe that there is enough damage to meet protocol for her specific insurer, which will, of course, leave nameless this morning. Met the adjuster out there, thought we would have that favorable adjustment for a full replacement of the roof, and that's the ultimate goal,
Sure.
where the homeowner's just going to pay for their their deductible and any possible upgrades, but 85% of that roof's going to be taken care of from the premiums that they've been paying over the course of the years. That is the goal.
deal.
That is. Now, I like to say that I'm judge and jury. At the end of the day, I don't have the checkbook for all these insurance companies. I just base on what I think can potentially happen based on what I can see in front of me. That criteria was there in my mind as it relates to this particular homeowner. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way on what I'm going to call right now the first pass. Okay? And when I say the first pass, it comes back from adjustment from the company as a repair instead of a replacement. So immediately, this homeowner's calling me saying, look, and it just didn't work out. They want to repair it instead of replace it. Just give me a price to go ahead and replace it, which I immediately respond to her by saying, hey, listen, this is not all bad, okay? I don't always get the yes and everything we want on the first pass. Whether you're in a personal injury situation with an attorney, which is a good way to think about or a good analogy to talk about moving forward what I'm talking about, sometimes it's a negotiation. Most of the time it's a negotiation, unless you get everything you want to start with. Reason they're saying no right now, I haven't given them the reasons they're going to ultimately say yes. So here's what I want to make sure that every listener understands this morning, that it's just a starting point, okay? In other words, we have laws in the state of Tennessee that a lot of states don't have, such as line of sight, right to match. We've got some deals going on here where literally I can take this, what's adjusted as a repair, and turn it in to no less than probably half of a replacement instead of none, but potentially a whole replacement just by taking a couple of extra steps, and the insurance company has no choice. I want to close by saying this on this subject because I know we're moving on to other things, and I mean this in the best funny type of sense. There's not any good neighbors. Nobody's on your side. I'm just telling you, insurance companies as a whole, if you do not know what you're entitled to, are not just coming out. They spend $3 billion a year to train you that they are all these things, that the reality is that you usually need some kind of representation, whether it be personal injury or for what I do. So keep that in mind. No doesn't mean no necessarily all the way through. We just need to do a couple more things.
Yeah, I can't think of any. I mean, Allan, in a lot of situations in my life, pretty much everything becomes a negotiation. I know with running the convention, with, and so, yeah, you just take that initial answer because it might be that you have to highlight some things that they missed on their first visit or something.
And in this particular case too, Joe, I mean, she's got 15 damaged, missing, increased shingles, and it's on every slope on the house.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this should have been a replacement adjustment from the get-go, but it was not. All these insurance companies are tightening up. I've been preaching that ever since I've been on the show. You can't stop there, though. It doesn't mean that it's over. I'm convinced, and I hope she'll revisit that because I don't want her to have to spend all that money out of her pocket. I know we can get some more. We just have to simulate the repairs, show that it's going to look like Indian corn, for instance, from the street. The Tennessee law protects her. We'll be able to at least get that slope, anything that's seen from the street, replaced. So we got a way to go. Just don't give up when they say no.
It's a process.
It is a process.
You look at everybody and go, all right, guys, it's not a simple yes or no. It is almost everything today is some form of process.
Well, and we should say, too, if you're just tuning in and you're like, and you're not familiar with Jay is a former insurance agent, which gives him, and then he moved into contracting, which I don't know a lot of people that have done that. So that gives you, to me, that puts you way ahead in terms of your experience. So when he's talking about this, folks, he really knows what he's talking about. But you're also a GAF Master Elite Installer, accredited with the Better Business Bureau. You've got, all sorts of 5-star reviews. So Jay does it all. So he knows his stuff. We're going to talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
You've got paper, and you've got paint. A deadly combination! Let me show you.
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
Stay away from that paper and paint, Allan. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV and our pal Jay Hill from Big M Roofing and Remodeling. Speaking of Big M Roofing and Remodeling, Allan, if you want to get in touch with us, you can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline. When are we going to get that glowing phone, Jay, like they have in Batman?
As soon as y'all go by it, Joe.
Okay. You can call or text at 901-683-0989. That's what we need. We need that bit, lighting up every time. Yeah. Or you pull back the head and I don't know, whatever. Anyway, hey,
you
Jay.
want a shoe phone. That's all you do.
Speaking of that too, though, Joe, we are starting to get calls from our dialogue here on this show about this process of replacing roofs. I got one just a couple of days ago that said, the lady said, look, I don't know what to do. I've got this particular insurer and they're not wanting to do right. And I've been listening to the show. And I said, great, I'm glad you called. And I'm going to be meeting with her on Monday to try to see if I can be of assistance.
Awesome.
You just can't navigate it by yourself.
Well, you just brought up a huge point. All right. As Joe loves to say, triggered. Here.
Yeah. It's easy to trigger Jay or Allan.
Yeah. Well, here we go. All right. I'm of a certain age. I'm from a certain profession. I have a house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an agent. I'm not involved in, I'm involved in construction. And, that means I know roofers. And I mean, because I'm sort of in the industry, I have kind of a few extra ends. I got a few people I can call and ask questions. What if you're a nurse? What if you're an accountant? What if you're a truck driver? What if you're, any medical worker, first responder, whatever? Where do you get this information? I think this goes back to where Joe and I say, ask a professional.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. They say that there is $3 billion a year spent by the insurance industry to advertise to you, me, Johnny Homeowner, that we're on your side, that we're good friends, we're good neighbors, you're all of that. And then we take a different attitude about, a homeowner's claim when, again, the first thing we're going to do if we have an accident, unfortunately, is to call an attorney. I'm just trying to let everybody know that there is not any difference. And what you're saying, Allan, is the deal. There is so much to know about the ins and outs, the logistics, and the legal part of navigating a homeowner policy that we would never know. All that paperwork we sign, that policy that's that big that you've never looked at, there's stuff in there we can use to be of service to you, and that's what you need to know.
For some reason, Joe, I'm having an Incredibles flashback.
Uh-oh, yeah.
Because wasn't in the Incredibles, wasn't Mr. Incredible working for an insurance company?
Was he?
Oh, that's right. Well, don't ask Jay. He doesn't. He's not a geek.
I'm looking at you, Joe. All right, wasn't
You're
he?
Right. And he gave some friendly advice. He goes, "I'm not supposed to tell you this, but yeah."
And I certainly didn't tell you to file a Form 933 at level 37 of the building, and I certainly didn't tell you to put it on blue paper. And I certainly wasn't there like a whole big thing.
Yeah, he
in
helped
that?
some. Yeah. So
okay, I'm having that flashback. I'm kind of looking at this going, all right, so
I know Form 937-5 on the blue form like the back of my hand. That's what I want you to know.
Well, that's what we're trying to say, because Jay, I don't want to undersell the fact that you've got great installers. You guys really are. I remember visiting you for the first time at the home show. In your booth, you're accredited with all of these, all of these insurance companies. You got these 5-star ratings with the Better Business Bureau, the GAF Master Elite thing with lifetime transferable warranties. We haven't even talked about that. You put together these really state of the art roofing systems, and I can tell you it's changed our life too. But I think what the takeaway from all this talk about insurance is, don't just take their first answer as the final thing. They are not the judge, the jury, or whatever. And you need somebody that can not only look at your roof and see the damage and see what needs to be done. You need somebody that can navigate the waters of, oh, okay, well, you left out looking at clause B over here. If you examine this,
absolutely,
actually we do.
Absolutely. And do people know, for instance, this is what we're talking about right now, that if you've got water intruding the home and we think we've got a roof problem, yeah, we probably do. And that roof part, the shingles, for instance, could just be part of the claim. But did you know that all the interior, where water is intruded, where we've stained walls, ceilings, that's covered. If we need to replace drywall, did you know that wind that took those shingles off, that bent the gutter in the back, that knocked the limb back, could get our gutters replaced, could get our siding replaced where there's a hole in it? Those are things that you need to know because they're all attributed to that same claim, and that's just not something that most people know.
And Jay, I wanted to ask you, but I've been meaning to ask you this too. If let's suppose you are a homeowner, you had a tree limb or something, and it falls on the house, it damages the roof, and it's damaging the inside. Well, what if they called their insurance company first, and the insurance company said, well, you have a claim, and these are the roofers you can use. Like, in other words, they insinuate that you have to use their preferred roofers, but that's not necessarily the case. Right?
That's because they've got a pre-negotiated deal with some of these guys, and if you've ever had an unfortunate automobile accident, they'll try to do the same thing to you as well. You can take your car wherever you want to, and you can darn sure use any contractor that you want to, okay?
Right.
I'm telling you, there's some corners cut there, and I've seen it happen before, okay? The best thing that you can do 24/7, a storm comes through at 2 o'clock in the morning tonight, and unfortunately a tree falls on your house, call 901-484-5647. We'll have our emergency team there within a matter of an hour to get you shored up, get the water stopped, and we'll move forward from there. But you need somebody to help you navigate the whole claim.
Yeah. So, and go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com as well. So, hey, Jay, now I want to change gears a little bit because you put a roof on our house. You put a roof on our buddy Brandon Olmstead's house. It was a pretty cool experience. I was expecting this thing to draw out for months or whatever. Within 2 weeks, Allan, we had a new house. Within 1 day, they replaced everything. And I can't tell you the difference, Jay. The roof on my house for the last 10 years has been it's been just sort of this anvil hanging over my head. I'm like, at some point, because it already leaked all over the place, and I'm like, I'm going to have to spend thousands of dollars to do it. You pointed out ours was a pretty easy case. Everybody agreed on the adjustment. But Jay, this is a roofing system. I've even noticed that my utility bills, ever since we got this new roof, have gone down. I'm talking $70 or $80 a month, Allan. I mean, I've noticed it, and it's consistent. So is that a coincidence or?
Certainly it's not. And it's one of the things, actually, Joe, if you remember back, that we talked about when we talked about building the roofing system. One of the things that we see in the South, but certainly in Memphis a whole lot today, is that these homes that Allan was talking about that were built 30, 40 years ago, all you pretty much had for attic ventilation then was a couple of gable vents on each side. And if you thought that, hey, I'm going to go that extra mile and I'm going to really get some of this hot air out there, so I'm going to get two or three of those ugly whirlybirds up there, those turbines, and let that get all the hot air out. Well, number one, they don't work. They're going to rust. They're going to stove up, and it's only going to work for a minimal amount of time. So specifically what I want to tell you that's a game changer today, and why your utility bills are so much lower today, is the advent of what we know as ridge vents.
Yes.
So here's what we've done.
Yeah, we never had those growing up, Allan, and now they're on pretty much every roof, right? I mean, that's...
Well, no, they're not. And I'm going to tell you, they should be, they could be if you've got the right contractor that knows what they're doing. But these guys, for instance, that we were talking about a moment ago, Allan, can when you call them, or I should say, you said, Joe, that can that the insurance company might recommend, they're not coming over there to give you all those extras. They're coming to give you what the State Farm says they're going to pay to do the deal. You need ridge vents. Here's why you need them. There's not a way to get all that hot air out of the top of the attic. What ends up happening is the shingles bake from the inside and the outside, which can cut as much as 35% off of the life of your roof. So what do? We take off those old whirlybirds if you got them. We redeck that and shingle that as we're doing the roof. And then we're going to cut 1.5 inches off of each side of your ridge when we get done and install the ridge vents. And what this allows to happen is the entire attic area, from the natural properties of heat rising, will actually let all that hot air out, and that's where you're seeing all your savings in your utility bills. Non-mechanical, don't have to plug it up, doesn't use any electricity, and they're guaranteed for life just like the rest of their roof. Real game changer.
And transferable.
Transferable.
I could sell the house, because I'm just thinking of what you did for my property value, Jay, because I'm thinking, okay, well, if we want to sell the house, and I can transfer the warranty to the new homeowner, that's a huge selling point.
Well, Rick Bowman and that crew will tell you that the Realtor Association has stated that a transferable lifetime warranty, non-prorated on a roof, will add another 4 to 6% of value to your home.
Yeah, I mean the roof is everything. I mean it's and it kind of reminds me of like a teapot when you think of the heat going out. It's just it's venting, and so but it's a simple thing. But like you say, not everybody's going to do that. So.
No, they're not. And, I pretty much just try to build one specific roof. It's with GAF. It's called the Systems Plus, and the Systems Plus incorporates all the things that you need to build a roofing system instead of just swapping shingles. You're going to have a good leak barrier on all your penetrations and your valleys. You're going to use a real starter strip on the perimeter every rake and every eave, and you're going to add your ridge vents, and you're going to change out all your boot pipes. Most importantly, you're going to use one of JAF's lifetime shingles, and the factory gives you lifetime, non-prorated, transferable warranty on that roof.
Yeah, because Allan, I'm thinking of your friend who we're not going to name because we don't want to give Lori's name out on the air, but who you're working with. Her home was built in the 70s. Let's face it, the roofing, if you want to call them systems back then, they're probably not even. How do you marry those two together? I feel like you really just need to replace them. You can't.
Yeah, you bring it into the 21st century.
Right.
I mean, because building codes really change. Think about like an automobile, what you could get that an automobile could do couldn't do 10 years ago that it can do now. I mean, it changes that quick. And at the end of the day, you've got to make those adjustments in that roofing system, and there's just a better way to go now.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. That is it exactly, because for those of you who are listening to us on the East Coast, you may have a couple of 100 years worth of different types of roofing.
Good point. Yeah.
For those of you listening to us, I know we got a bunch of listeners down in New Orleans. Big shout out to our buddies down there in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Talk about a lot of heat and humidity. And again, a couple of 100 years of different kinds of roofing. In Memphis, predominantly, we're from Victorian Village. So, from the Victorian age forward. So we're anywhere from clay tiles to the swap over to the asphalt shingle. Yeah. And really, honestly, getting the asphalt shingle systems right is relatively recent.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I can't tell you how many times, too, just real briefly, people think that they want to, I get calls, I want a metal roof. Well, why do you want a metal roof? I always ask. Well, because I don't want to ever have to replace it again. Not true. Okay. You can have a asphalt roof that's guaranteed by the factory for a third of the cost of a metal roof. Okay. With a lifetime transferable, non-prorated warranty.
Yeah.
So keep that in the back of your mind too, listeners.
Jay, real quick, how do people get in touch with you?
Call me at 901-484-5645. Our website, bigmroofingandremodeling.com. Got a bunch of stuff on there where you can discover about insurance and how it works, a gallery so you can see some of our work. Please check out our BBB reviews. We've never had less than a 5-star review.
Absolutely. I hope we get a 5-star review for this one, Al. We deserve it. Anyway, or do we? Anyway, you're
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome to Hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And just a reminder, we had our buddy Jay Hill on a minute ago, and he gets very animated, Allan.
He is passionate about what he does.
And in case you missed how to get in touch with him, because really you should, if you have any roofing issues, whether you're going to replace it with your insurance agent or your insurance company or not, they are master elite installers, GAF installers. You get lifetime transferable warranties. They're accredited with the Better Business Bureau. They're just good people, and Jay's a riot anyway.
Oh yeah.
When Jay shows up on a job, there's a certain energy.
There is a certain vibe. Yeah. Yeah, it's a thing.
So get in touch with Jay at 901-484-5645 or call go to their website, bigmroofingandremodeling.com. And like we said, you're working with a friend, and she's at the stage where there's some negotiations required because, like we say, insurance agents or insurance companies, they're working in their best interest. And you need somebody that can work in your best interest.
Well, and again, it's where we're going to look at it and say, what does it hurt to ask a professional?
Yeah, all this stuff Jay does is basically there's no cost to you.
Nothing up front.
Right.
Right.
Get a professional consultant. So it's just a no-brainer. Get in touch, bigmroofingandremodeling.com. Well, Allan, this is something this is how this conversation got rolling. I was listening to Memphis Morning News last Thursday, and I like to drop by that show once a week or so. And Ditch and Jeff Brightwell were talking about the electric cars, which we're all big fans of. I think the big thing we're a big fan of is the advancing battery technology, because it's great to have electric vehicles or electric tools. But if the batteries aren't efficient and if they don't store the energy really well, whatever. So they were talking about the need. Obviously, one of the downsides, I guess, is if you have an electric vehicle and you want to drive from here to California, it might be dicey because you got to find charging stations.
Right.
You got, you can only get so far. Well, I had what I think, Allan, is the next $1 trillion idea.
Okay.
And this opened up a discussion that you and I had when we were doing our show prep. So, at this point, Allan, how many batteries are in an electric vehicle?
Fundamentally, at this point, one.
Okay, that's what I thought. It's a big battery cluster, and it's powering one thing. So you charge it up, it runs out, you charge it up again. Well, here's what I was thinking, Allan. What if you divided that up into two battery systems? And let's suppose at one point, the first battery is powering the vehicle. The second battery is attached to the wheels. And so the spinning motion of the wheels is actually charging that battery. When the first battery starts to wear out, you switch over to that other battery. So you basically have a perpetual self-charging vehicle. What do you think, sir? And this could even apply to battery-powered. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. And this could apply to the same principle could apply to a battery-powered power tool, and who knows what other devices.
Well,
think of that, sir. That's game-changing.
Welcome to the perpetual motion machine.
Absolutely.
So
Elon Musk, send those checks over to Tool Talk Radio. But no, it got me thinking.
You'll
I don't
be getting
think
your cease and desist letter from Elon shortly.
Yeah, I don't think this is all that far-fetched. I think this is possibly the way forward.
Well, you have just espoused one of the major goals.
Okay.
I don't think we're there yet, because basically we're going to have to go back to the huckster days of the perpetual motion machine.
Tell people what that is. I think I know what it is. But,
okay, a perpetual motion machine was basically the idea of free energy.
Yeah.
So you need a mechanical system that has a zero footprint. Right. In other words, it generates all of the energy that it needs to stay in motion. The problem with that is that pretty much all mechanical systems have a net loss built into them.
Sure.
So what would stop something from spinning? Well, air pressure. You're pushing air.
Yeah.
So because there is always some form of resistance, some form of friction, you always have a net loss. Now we're going to flip over to your battery system, where can we make the friction and resistance and abundance of other energy sources, aka solar, wind, or whatever. Can we, could your electric car have a little turbine in it where air passes through and turns the little turbine, and we know that if we can spin it, it can make electricity.
Right.
Joel, that's kind of the holy grail.
Well, I'm picturing, yeah.
We're probably going to get to that point sometime in the future, because you are on the goal.
If you had a system like this, I could see, even if you had the double battery system like I'm talking about, it probably at some point would still need to be plugged in, but it would probably be a lot less often, and it would, it would be just like you said, a smaller footprint. And then let's just suppose you get really nifty and you have a solar panel on the roof of that car.
Or solar paint.
Or paint, because they can absorb solar energy where you might not even know you're looking at a solar panel. It might just look like a coat of paint, like you said, or it might look like a sunroof or something. So this is where we're going with this, Alan. We love the high tech stuff, and I do see applications with this in home improvement because I think tools, any type of moving part, could turn into a source of energy.
That is correct, including us and our clothing.
Now, can they harness the power of Tool Talk Radio to generate electricity? We shall see. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
There's something occluding your ear.
It's sawdust. Just blow.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
I get the sawdust out of my ear myself, thank you. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, or you can always go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, give us a like. You can go over there and see what the must-have item of the week is if you're impatient. We'll get to it shortly, but if you want spoilers, go over there and send us, pictures, videos, all of your home improvement triumphs and tribulations. I want to say, Alan, I was very tempted to link a YouTube video we were watching last night, but for the sake of not I don't want to drag humanity even further down, but I was watching this hilarious video last night called Total Idiots at Work. Have you ever seen that? If you want to see just everybody violating every safety protocol and missing death by inches.
I work with that 6 days a week, Joe, some days. Yeah.
Jump on YouTube. Total Idiots at Work. For one thing, I love the title of the video, but it'll show you what not to do.
Yeah, don't do this.
Anyway, hey, Allan.
As a comment, because we just got a text that said, oh, and by the way, your $1 trillion idea of the Prius, the new Toyota Prius, has motion recharge.
Okay, well, there you go.
They're working on it. But again, it still has a net loss. But, there you go. So
it's on the way. I mean, I knew this wasn't probably an original idea, but I'm just thinking I don't hear a lot of people talking about that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, keep sending us your text at our Big M Roofing line, which number is what, Joe?
901-683-0989.
There we go.
Or
keep texting us.
If you want, you can always call us too. So, hey, Allan, we're going to get back into our high-tech discussion, but before we do, this is actually high-tech. Okay, your kitchen and bathroom remodel is gone high-tech now. Because here's the thing. If you call our friends at Tri-State Interiors, for one thing, they have a huge service area. We're very proud of the fact that here, the broadcast tower of the News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis, it's 100,000 watts.
Oh,
There's people over near Jackson, Tennessee listening to us. There's people
WKIM reaches a lot of people.
Way into Memphis, or way into Mississippi, way into Arkansas. We hit the tri-state areas. Funny enough, Tri-State Interiors does as well. So what I like about their approach, Allan, is, for one thing, their focus is on craftsmanship. That's at the top of the pyramid. The second priority is keeping the overhead low, because let's face it, the customer is the one paying for that overhead.
Oh, yes.
If it's low, you're paying for it. What I also like is that before they start on any project, they order all of the parts. They order all of the hard to find, sink parts, tile, flooring, everything, so that they're not taking your house apart and saying, well, we'll be back in 6 weeks when this part arrives. Right. They have it all in their warehouse. But the fun part, the high-tech end, is that they will create, before they even remove one piece of sheetrock, they will create a 3D rendering that you can download on your smartphone. You can download it on any on your computer, any smart device, and you can take a 360-degree tour of your kitchen. And that's where the fun is, and that's where you work out the design elements, which is great. Work it out before you start destroying things.
Well, it gives you the emotional support, because renovating any other part of the house is okay.
Right.
But renovating bathrooms and kitchens get emotional.
Oh, yeah.
Because they are such an inconvenience.
Everyone in the house.
Right. They're such an inconvenience. And when you already have a good, clean, firm idea what the finish line is, it keeps you motivated.
You said this a few weeks ago, Alan. You were talking about Tri-State Interiors. You said, look, the truth is they want to get in and they want to get out for everybody's sake. The quicker this thing is over with, the better, the more you can get your life back.
They do not want to move in with you.
No. So get in touch with them. They're good people. Mike Sarafolian, with a very difficult to say and spell last name. He's nevertheless got a nice, easy to remember name, Tri-State Interior. So you get in touch with them at tristateinteriorsllc.com. You can call Mike directly at 901-409-1333. And I think you'll be very happy that you did. Allan, we are in the middle of a discussion. What I thought was kind of a revolutionary idea to basically, we're talking about self-powering, I guess you could say charging batteries is what we're really talking about, because we're talking about the electric vehicle. My thought was, instead of a one battery system, you have a two battery system. You use the spinning wheels of the motion of the wheels to charge one battery, while the other battery is powering the car, and you just flip them back and forth. And full disclosure, I kind of got the idea from the pod racing scene in The Phantom Menace, the Star Wars movie, when Anakin is one of his engines failed, and you see him pull the switch out and switch into the other engine. That's kind of where the idea came from. So Star Wars is never far from my design ideas. So yeah.
When you were telling me about this device, it made me think of like those electric lawnmowers that, like where you take one battery out and recharge it while the other one is used in its place.
Yeah, we have an electric lawnmower, and you're right. Yeah. So, but now what could we do with the lawnmower, Alan? Could the spinning motion, I don't know, that might be a net loss. The spinning motion of the blade power a second battery. That's
penultimately the lawnmower is going to become a giant grass mulching Roomba.
And just so people know, Allan misused the word penultimately, and he's an author. You should have said ultimately, sir.
No, penultimately. No, it's not going to be the ultimate.
Penultimate means second from the last. So,
yes.
No, I think
because there'll always be a next one.
If you're an English
there's
professor
always going
out
to be
there,
a next one.
Tell us who's right. Sorry, Allan, go ahead.
But right now you have generally the gasoline powered, and we're easing over towards the electric. But if, like for your backyard, which is fenced in, which is a finite space, I very easily see and they already exist. I'm not making something new up, but is a solar powered grass cutter that just wanders around the backyard like your Roomba wanders around the house. And
now, I don't know about that. Would that give us the precision and I could see a bunch of circles. It would look like crop circles in your yard. And could you hack into your neighbor's smart lawnmower
and put a little GPS on it and have it draw funny faces?
Yeah, now that,
I would never have thought of that, Joe.
Okay, I could get behind that. So I think the big thing, though, the big takeaway from this conversation, though, Allan, is it's just going to start looking a lot different. The big exciting development, really, in all of this is how much battery technology is improved, because that was the game changer. The big problem was, now that it's improved, everything is possible.
And we're getting there, and it's getting even better. And I look through the window and I look at Max, and when Max is starting to look like us, his conversation on this topic is going to be even more bizarre, because we're talking about what's just happened in batteries in the last 20 years.
Yeah, good point.
Imagine what is going to happen in the next 20.
Yeah, we're just at the beginning of
this is the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and we love your comments or questions. Just let us know. Go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Let us know what you think of this discussion, because really, it's so easy to be doom and gloom in the world and blah blah blah. But there's so many advances in technology that we just take for granted every day that really, I mean, our ancestors would be like laughing at us right now. You guys complain because Facebook went down for a day or something like that. All right, thanks, Max. Anyway, But yeah, we really do have it made, and quit your whining. So, but hey, Allan, I want to switch gears a little bit. Well, actually, you know what? Before we get to that, let's knock out our must-have item.
I was going. You keep rolling it across the desk towards me, so I figured we were ready.
Because I can't wait, frankly, to get to your to your story that you brought us. But I think we need the better build-up. So tell people what I'm holding up right here.
He is holding up a tiny little thing that looks halfway between a nail and a screw.
Okay, you going to tell us what it is?
Oh, but it is one of my favorite advances in technology. It is better known as a hollow wall anchor, or affectionately known as a wall molly.
Absolutely. So now, Allan, all wall anchors are not created equal, folks.
No.
This is the one. Okay, so if you, like you said, it's almost like a fat nail. It's got a screw head on the end. It's got little teeth that grab into it. So you
now yours is a self-driving. This is a self-driving.
So there's we should talk about this too, because you'll go to the big box store, you're going to see a whole rack of different wall anchors. They all have their purpose, and they usually have a weight limit on them. They'll say, it can hold up to such and such pounds. This one I think is rated for about 35 pounds, which is nothing to sneeze at.
Right. Well, keep in mind we're talking about the structural strength of gypsum board.
Yeah, which is not, it's chalk.
Only so strong.
You have
so
to
a
use
wall
science.
molly, you're never going to have a 200-pound wall molly.
Right. So
because the sheetrock itself can't hold that kind of weight.
This one, you carefully, underline the word carefully, you drive it in until it gets to, it's flush with the wall, and do not pull out the power drill for this. Take a hand, like a Phillips head screw, carefully twist it to the right until it gets snug, and when it does, stop. Now, what happens if you don't, Allan?
Oh, you'll keep stripping that sheetrock right on out.
Yeah, you'll just basically pinch the whole thing through the sheetrock. So,
my question is who's Molly, and why did they name a wall molly after her?
Can you kill his mic, Allan? Okay. Yeah, thanks,
We'll
Max.
talk about the unsinkable Molly Brown later.
Oh, you think there's a connection with this?
I know there's a connection.
Oh, no, that's interesting. But no, there's finesse required. But I like this one better than some of those plastic ones. I just think it's a better quality, and if you go to our Facebook page, you'll see exactly what we're talking about.
And the trick is, when these are properly installed, they are complete game changers. And ladies and gentlemen, please be careful, especially if you're hanging that brand new television on the wall.
Well, I don't think we use it for, okay.
I use wall mollies all the time to install entertainment centers on the walls.
Okay, we're going to have to talk off the air, Allan. I think, I do not endorse that. I think you need a bolt that goes straight into the...
you need something to hit a stud, but for occasions, you can get away with using wall mollies.
All right.
They're awesome.
Wow. So we got a must-have item of the week and a point counterpoint. Allan, forget that, because when we come back, oh boy, Awakening the Dinosaur Shrimp. The people of Arizona have woken up to a terrible, really a monster movie in their backyard, and we're going to bring you the story next on Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
You're making a plan while I'm being a man, just winging it.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
All right, Max, a little Aquabats action. You can't beat that. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV, and our top-notch producer, Max, bringing us those rejoiners that we always look forward to. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, we invite you to visit us at the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Give us a like. Be sure to follow us on there. And we want to hear from you. We want to see what you've been up to. Send us your home improvement adventures, your home improvement triumphs. And let's face it, Allan, if you failed spectacularly, it's a good place to...
Oh, yeah, we want those pictures, too.
It's a good place to send that as well, too. And, Allan, we are on we're storing the shows on a new platform. You can still visit us at tooltalkradio.com, but when you hit the link, it's going to take you to Spotify, right?
Absolutely. There is a brand new Spotify button there at tooltalkradio.com. So pop in, check out of all of our past episodes, take a look and see what we got going on. And if you want to follow us on your favorite app, wherever podcasts are served, But the main podcast server is Spotify.
Yeah, and it's a nice, easy-to-use platform. We like that. So speaking of easy-to-use platforms, Allan, before we jump into this really primal and shocking and exciting topic that we're going to jump into in 30 years of stupid /science/science fiction, what's going on at Geeky Side TV?
Well, of course, it is Halloween.
Yeah, no, I've been hearing that since July, Allan. But yeah,
well, that's true, but it is actually October. So they need to check out Scary Stories with Kalila and Afterlife Mysteries.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Well, those
are
a lot
more than that.
Those are the big two right now. Of course, there's lots of other amazing programming there on Geeky Side TV. Just go to geekysidetv.com. And check out, of course, the breakaway hit for the year is Scott J. Carroll's Storytime.
Those are nice.
They
I
are
like
absolutely
little short videos,
hilarious.
7 to 10 minutes-ish, and they're just... And I don't know why, Allan, they're very basic. The animation is simple, but yet there's something strangely compelling. The guy's a good storyteller.
Oh, yeah.
He can make you care about stuff that just seems like mundane that nobody would ever pay attention to.
Barbecue night will never be the same. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, Geeky Side TV. And, of course, if you're a creator out there and you want to become the next TV sensation, get in touch with Geeky Side TV.
Absolutely.
How do they do that, Allan?
All they got to do is go to geekysidetv.com and click on the Contact Us and send us a message.
Okay. All right. Well, Allan, this may wind up on Geeky Side TV, or this may wind up in the next, I don't know what. This may wind up in the next Kaiju movie or something. But we were in our exhaustive show prep. You said Arizonians are... Well, for one thing, okay, I lived in Arizona for a short while.
Right.
They call them zonies out there, but they don't get a whole lot of rain.
Some parts of Arizona almost never sees rain.
Right. But when you do, interesting things can happen. Well, and that's where we're launching off.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've all seen the Discovery Channel specials where they're showing the desert, and then it rains, and then suddenly you have all these flowers and plants and everything are blooming, right?
Right. Can I say one thing, Allan?
Yes.
When I lived in Phoenix, I lived there for 6 months. It was a very short stint, but it rained once when I was there. But I do remember it well because the street flooded. Everything, I'm guessing the ground was so hard, it just ran off like concrete. And it was a big deal when it rained, so I'll just say
it's
that.
a big thing. All right, well, let's go over to, Wupatki National Park, which is of an ancient ball court, Native American ball court, not like a baseball court, but like a big...
Oh, they had like a sport they played?
A big ceremonial area, right.
Oh, okay.
They call it the ball court.
Okay.
And it rained.
Yeah.
For the first time in a very long time. And like you said, the ground is very hard. It runs off and they wind up with water puddles and any low-lying area winds up full of water.
Right.
Well, a couple of days after it rained, a few of the visitors came in and they said, we were down there by the ball court and you got all kinds of something living in the ball court.
Here we go.
Now,
I'm just like... I'm making my checklist here, Allan, of the science fiction movies we're about to unpack. Here,
they're kind of like, what do you mean there's something living in the, on the ball court? So they go down there and they discovered that the ball court along with a lot of other low-lying areas were now populated by something called a tripos.
Trifos.
A trifos. All right, if you will, for a trifos, picture a horseshoe crab. You got a horseshoe crab in your mind, Joe?
To be honest, I don't even know what those look like. But,
all right,
but I know a crab. I can picture a crab, Allan.
All right, I'm going to show Joe a picture.
To me, that looks like he's showing me something that, folks, if I saw this, it looks to me like an underwater dinosaur.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, these things have been around since the Devonian period.
Yeah,
they actually are older than dinosaurs.
Well, just so you know, folks, it almost looks like a futuristic spaceship that you would have seen on Naboo, because they had very streamlined. Okay, thanks, Max. They have very streamlined ships, and this one has a sinister tail, like a scorpion.
Oh yeah, they're cool looking.
Like pincers, though. It looks like it could bite you.
No, well, they actually don't. They're filter feeders.
Okay,
but they're not something the average person runs into a lot because, well, we don't have a lot of them on this side of the planet.
So these things were swimming around in the puddles that developed Now, that's suggestive, Alan.
Right.
It's not like they washed up from a zoo.
They did
nearby.
not wash up.
These sort of emanated from the ground.
You are exactly correct. That is where the eggs had been lying dormant for the last several decades.
Oh, boy.
Waiting on enough rain to come along and wake them up.
Okay, now, Alan, this is what I'm thinking of. Do you remember that movie Gremlins?
Yes.
Okay, that was just add water, right?
Just add water.
Okay, so you're saying there could have been beneath the soil of Arizona. I mean, many questions emerge here, but beneath this desert soil, there are these eggs of this swimming creature, right?
Right.
Okay, well, that suggests to me several things. At one point, it makes me think Arizona was probably underwater.
Well,
right?
the big thing is it gets water periodically, yes.
But these eggs must have a very interesting shell, or I guess I'm wondering what the life...
The shelf life can be decades.
That's interesting. Wow.
Right. And we bring this up because, well, it's a little surprising if you're not used to seeing these kind of water critters. Or anybody that's had an aquarium has probably dealt with brine shrimp. As a food or whatever for that. Brine shrimp or fairy shrimp are these tiny little shrimp-like creatures. You would probably know them better, Joe, as sea monkeys.
Okay, Alan, you and I are on the same page. In the back of the comic books, when I was reading comic books back in the 70s, they said they showed the advertisement for $2.99. You can buy
Instant
a packet
life.
of sea monkeys,
Yes.
and they made it look like these are little creatures that are going to live in your fish tank. Although they did grow, it's a packet. If you ever order them, it looks like a packet of seeds. You put it in the water, and it's these little things, which freaked me out as a kid because, okay, it's still this little swimming creature, but it was just in a packet. Like, it was just a dried egg.
Yes.
So there's stuff like this all over Arizona.
All over the world.
Wow.
All over the
and
world.
probably within the wood of our homes. Or that's where my mind was going.
Funny
There's
you should
probably
mention
places in our home or places in our daily lives that are not designed to get wet. And when they do, you don't know what you're unleashing on a microscopic level.
I was working on a house down in Texas a few years ago, and one of the big things that came up, the guys were telling me there was a house in the neighborhood that had the worst cricket problem in the world.
Oh, that would be annoying.
Every few weeks, this house got inundated with crickets.
Wow.
And this went on for like 2 or 3 years.
Trying to sleep, even if you have one cricket in the house.
Imagine like 20 of them underneath your house just singing their little hearts out.
Yeah.
So this house had a horrible cricket problem. And it wasn't until they discovered a tiny little pinhole leak in one of the riser pipes in the shower. And what was happening was this tiny little pinhole leak was dripping that one drop of water every so often down into the soil under the house.
In the crawl space.
And it was just enough
like
to
a Petri
moisten
dish.
and wake up the dormant eggs of the little West Texas cricket.
Oh my gosh.
So they had they kept trying to solve this problem, and this problem was brought about by just the most insignificant of leaks just happened to be dripping on the ground at the right spot.
You talk about water being the enemy. Alan.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think this story has higher ramifications. I think it's fascinating, by the way. Is there any videos yet of this? Because this is a new story, right? I want to go to YouTube now and check out the Dinosaur Shrimp. What's the actual name again?
It's a trifos.
Trifos.
Which is basically Latin for 3 eyes, but it's called a trifos shrimp. And there are plenty of videos of them out there. And as a matter of fact, you can buy trifos kits just like you can buy brine shrimp kits.
All right, there you go. People, take the iPad away from your kids. Get them working with their hands. Get them a packet of trifos shrimp and go to town. They're going to learn all sorts of exciting and interesting things. Well, you're going to learn a lot of exciting and interesting things if you stay tuned to Tool Talk Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, wrap things up with even more shocking stories.
Mm-hmm.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
The likelihood of you dying violently within the next 5 minutes is 87.61%. You are about to get me killed. We will both die because of your negligence.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Yeah, Alan, I'm not proud of that voicemail message I got, but thanks for putting that on the air, Max. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio.
That's how I feel about you guys all the time.
Jeez. And welcome back. Thanks for stepping on that. What a sloppy intro. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV and our pal Brandon Olmsted from Geek Tank Radio, who got here early. I guess we triggered him with this story of the Dinosaur Shrimp. He wanted to weigh in.
Well, he heard shrimp and thought we had a Barbie going.
You can get in touch with us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. Of course, Alan's mind goes to food. And better yet, send us your pictures, your comments, your shocking reactions to Alan's story at Tool Talk Radio, at our Tool Talk Radio Facebook page.
I'm going to be honest. The thing that actually triggered me was you saying that in the 70s that the sea monkeys were $2.99. I read in the 80s and they were only $1.50.
It's funny. As I was saying that, Brandon, I thought it was more like $1.99.
I think you were giving the inflation of today's prices on brine shrimp.
Yeah, but I did order my sea monkeys. I eventually did. I never ordered the Atlas Gym thing that said they'll get you. The guy kicking the sand in the face of the little guy. But
I wanted the X-ray specs because we were all supposed to be skeletons, and I didn't trust that.
But Brandon is the perfect person to continue this scientific discussion. Before we do, though, real quick, gentlemen, I just want to remind the listeners out there, they may be interested in this information. If you need a deck or a pergola or a patio cover or really a fence, anything made out of wood for the outside of your home, you can give me a call. Now, Alan, I will be honest. My service area isn't quite as big as Tri-State Interiors. I stick to the Mid-South here, the Memphis, Collierville, South Haven, within a reasonable distance. But I enjoy these projects.
Reasonable is defined by the hourly rate.
There you go. But I've been working a lot in Harbortown, which I really enjoy. Shout out to Fred and Lauren. They're a nice couple. In fact, Jay Hill just put the roof on that patio cover yesterday. So
awesome.
I'm really enjoying that. And I will say the projects I work on are kind of fun. Nobody's calling me at 2 a.m. saying I need an emergency deck built. So I like that.
What would you do if someone had called you? It's like, Mr. Thorderson, our boat floated away. We need a new deck.
Yeah. So, well, if they do, they call me at 901-921-7105 or go to my website, thorshomes.com. And as long as we're putting the bat signal out there, I want to remind, if you're a contractor, this is what we need. We are assembling a great team. Every week you're hearing about some of our team members, but we need more specialists involved with Tool Talk Radio. So if you're, I don't know, Allan, an electrician, a plumber, we need a few more. We need some variety of experts to come on and become part of the Tool Talk Radio team. So you can get in touch with me directly if you're interested in having that conversation. Once again, at 901-921-7105. Well, Brandon, it's Halloween.
It is.
We're
it's
talking
Halloween.
Dinosaur Shrimp. It's I kind of would like to finish that discussion, Allan, because this and we want Brandon's hot take, but this is really interesting. If you're just tuning in, the people of Arizona finally got some heavy rain, and when the rain started to go away in these puddles, shrimp were emerging, and you're saying these are eggs that were under the sand that were hatched, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now what do?
Well, now they run around.
They run around until they dry up and die.
Yeah, but see, Allan, I know you're thinking of your next appetizer, your next dinner menu.
I don't think I'd want to eat these.
I don't know. Shrimp,
these might make good bait, but I'm not sure they'd.
But as the humanitarians, what do we do? What if we want to rescue these shrimp? Do we take them to the ocean? Do we?
No.
Because they're freshwater, right?
They are designed to exist in short-lived pools. So what they're going to do is they're going to grow up very, very fast. And you're going to see cute little shrimp running around filter feeding. They have these really cool feathery apparatuses underneath them that you'll see them flipping in and out. And they're going to make little baby triposes as fast as they can, and they're going to lay millions of eggs. And when they dry out, those eggs will disappear into the sand and wait for the next rain.
It's part of the long con in order to take over the world.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is this the alien invasion we're not being told about?
Yes.
That's where my mind
All right,
went.
dude, these have been around since the Devonians. These have been around. This has been around for hundreds of millions of years.
That doesn't make them non-alien.
Yeah.
No, I didn't say that. I just said we've had them around. They've been around longer than dinosaurs.
Okay, Brandon, full circle. Don't we have a big meteorite? Isn't there like a big crater somewhere in Arizona where a meteor came in?
I thought Arizona was the crater.
Well, there you go. There you go. I mean,
you ever seen Evolution?
No.
Imagine that, but you're watching it in slow motion.
But folks, once again, this is a fun story to talk about. But Allan, on a microscopic level, or maybe not even so microscopic, this is what happens when water gets places it's not supposed to be, especially in your home. I'm just thinking of the chemical reaction. Let's just take for granted, I've seen homes where they have some of that press board and then a layer of tar, like a tar paper, and then the siding. Well, you start mixing those compounds together with water and then no air for it to evaporate. Suddenly all sorts of chemical things could be happening.
Well, yeah.
Not to mention smells. Right?
Well, I'm going to take it a slightly different bend. Okay. I'm going to look at Jeff Goldblum talking about dinosaurs when he said life will find a way.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
Brine shrimp of tripos and several other small animals have the ability to survive droughts by making little time capsules. They lay little eggs that can dry completely out. Which brings me to my favorite little critter ever in the whole world. It's called the water bear.
Okay.
And the water bear is this tiny little microscopic critter that loves to live on English moss.
Oh, okay.
And they have discovered dried out, you ready for the big word? Desiccated little versions of them in museums, especially in London where they've had, exhibits.
Right.
They've taken samples over 150 years old, put them back into water. The little water bears have rehydrated and started swimming around and acting like cute little water bears.
See, I don't think we factored this stuff in when we're buying our concrete. Imagine what's in that concrete mix. Well, if they just go to the desert and start scooping up stuff and throwing it in, who knows what we're activating, Allan?
And who knows what we're melting?
Oh gosh, the poor shrimp. They're being
let's go to all this ice and ice caps and glaciers and things. If eggs can dry out, another way of preserving things is to what? Freeze it.
them.
Oh, okay. You're talking about Greenland.
I'm talking about the fact that we're thawing a lot of things out that haven't been thawed out in a few thousand years.
See, Allan, you're steering into Geek Tank material. Don't step on it. Because on Geek Tank, we like to talk about the crossover between monster movies and real life. But
just because I'm here doesn't mean you need to go off topic.
Well, but it does drive me over to, let's just talk about termites for a minute.
There
and
you
the
go.
fact
That's where I was
that,
trying to lead you to.
Well, we're gonna wander that path, and of most of the termites we deal with in the Mid-South are mud tube type termites.
That's what they're called, the ones that leave those tube
Right,
things.
you'll see the little mud tubes coming up and down. So they're basically building themselves little termite highways.
Right.
And another thing that you'll notice if you get an infestation of these is little breathing holes that might appear in a windowsill.
That's how you could. That's
tiny little pinholes that they're getting air through.
Right.
Now, if you get drywood termites, they have no such need to reconnect to the ground.
Okay.
Or you could have any variety of hardwood grubs.
Allan, you're making me think here. So let's just play this out. So you've got some wood,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking there's got to be different flavors of wood that the termites prefer.
Oh, yes.
Well, if it's got some of these microscopic frozen egg things, and suddenly they get wet, I'm just thinking this is like a seasoning to the wood already. So it's just making it even more appealing to
we can pick on our buddies, the mushrooms. They could leave spores that we know that spores can last, according to the Egyptians, thousands of years.
Yeah. Put a pin in that, Allan, because next week we have a point counterpoint involving your mushroom proclamation.
Okay.
Anyway. Hey, but interesting stuff. This is going to be an ongoing theme, I believe, because this is a dynamic I never really thought about, and now this is just, man, it's spawning all sorts of ideas. Not all good, but it's just making me think we got to be even more on guard against water in our homes.
I will tell you a thing where people have brought a lot of furniture back in from storage.
Right.
And then they keep finding tiny little piles of sawdust on the floor.
Oh, gosh. That's a bad sign.
And that is because a wood-boring beetle has laid eggs somewhere on your fine furniture, and now in your furniture are little grubs eating it from the inside out.
Yeah. So to recap, folks, just when you go to bed tonight, just keep in mind that within your furniture, within the walls of your home, within all of the paint, within every surface of the area that you call your home are tiny microscopic creatures that, when activated by water, will destroy you. I mean,
well, not exactly. Not exactly.
I think so.
It's a happy Halloween thought, though.
Okay, but well,
at least you don't have to feed these after midnight to get the destruction.
No, you don't.
Yeah. Well, this is very interesting, Alan. And I like I say, this is going to be an ongoing theme. But I feel like we've brought you good science, scary science, science fiction.
Fun science.
Yeah, absolutely. So. It's been a full, rich day, and of course, it was always fun visiting with our good buddy Jay Hill from Big M Roofing and Remodeling. So, but time waits for no man, right? I mean, we can't do anything about the clock, so it's time to get out of here. So, but don't go anywhere. Stay tuned on News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis, because there's more good stuff coming at you
We'll
today,
be back,
including Geek Tank Radio. But it's time to get out of here. So on behalf of my friends Brandon Olmsted and Alan Gilbreth, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.